everyone. I'm Irma Garza. Thanks for watching the City of Palmview's YouTube channel. Today I'm visiting with our city attorney, Mr. Eden Ramirez, and we are going to be talking about a special election happening in November.
That's correct, Ms. Irma. We do have a charter election, a charter amendment election happening in November, and we have a couple of propositions going up for the voters to consider as we grow our city. Our charter also grows with it.
So explain to me, so we've got 4 propositions. What do they involve?
So we have Proposition A, for example, and Proposition A deals with one of our council positions. And so currently our council operates with 6 council members and the mayor. Okay, and so what happens oftentimes is that the mayor is not a voting member of the council because of the nature of the way our charter is set up. And so one thing that we're looking to do is to streamline our council formation more similar to cities our size. And what that means is that we would reduce the council from 6 to 5, eliminating one of the seats. And this way, our mayor is a voting member of the council. Sometimes there's a misconception in our community that our mayor has the authority to vote on items before the council. And right now, that's currently not true in our city case. And so by doing this, we would do a couple of things for the city. Number one, we would save some money in the city because now we'd be using one less council member for travel, for food, for training, for all the expenses that are normally associated with a council member seat. But also, it's going to increase the voting power of the voters because now the mayor who they're voting for has a voting power on the council.
I think we need to mention as well that the council has unanimously approved moving forward with this.
100%. So at the May election that we have coming up in 2024, we have one of the seats up for election. And so the council considered closing that seat specifically in order to wind down a term. And I think it's going to bring a lot of benefits to our city because, like I mentioned, it's going to ensure we have equity of voting power on the council, which we currently do not have.
Right. Right now, the mayor only votes if there is a tie.
That's correct. The mayor only jumps in when there's a tie. And so by doing it this way and streamlining our council, we would have a more efficient government, we would have a more responsive government, and voters, when they vote for their mayor, will have a vote on the council as well.
Okay. Now, we also should mention that these are volunteer positions. Our elected officials do not get paid. This is not like the county where, you know, they're full-time paid positions. These are not.
That is correct. So our council members do serve at the will of the voters for no pay. And so in this case, no one is getting compensation. The charter doesn't allow for compensation for their time. And so right now, we don't have a situation where anyone gets paid to serve on the council.
Okay. And so that's Proposition A. What is Proposition B?
Yeah, so Proposition B deals with our city manager. As you might be aware, a lot of cities engage in a contract with their city manager. And so that's done for 2 reasons, right? Number one, ensure stability in a city. Number 2, ensure predictability in who is in charge of the city and who's accountable, right? And some of the benefits that come with the ability of giving a contract to a city manager means you can delineate goals, you can delineate expectations, and it's all in the contract, right? We know exactly what their role is. We can hold them accountable to the contract. We can hold them accountable to their position and to their role. Unfortunately, right now, the charter for the city of Palmview doesn't allow for the council to issue a contract. The charter currently states that the city manager serves at an at-will basis. And so if we look at neighboring cities and we look at the industry standard across the state of Texas, it's very common that cities offer their city managers an employment contract. And again, that is a 2-way benefit, right? The city knows exactly what they're getting and how much it's costing, but also the council is able to hold a city manager accountable for that. And so we think that, again, the council unanimously approved this proposal for the voters to consider. And so by doing this, the voters are going to have the option to allow the council to enter into employment contracts with a city manager.
Okay, that's B. What about C?
Yes, ma'am. So in Proposition C, we get a little more boring, I guess that's one way to call it. And so that deals with our municipal court, okay? And in our municipal court currently, our charter allows for one presiding judge, and then the council can appoint an alternate whenever that one presiding judge is not available, right? Currently, that makes our municipal court a little inefficient because we aren't able to really have judges as available as we need them, because as you know, our municipal judges are not full-time employees. It is the compensation is not high at all. It is almost volunteer except for expenses that they're working with when they're coming in and going out. And so our charter says anyone can serve as a municipal judge, whether or not you're an attorney. And so with the proposed amendment that the council is taking to the voters is we are looking to restructure our court. And the restructure would happen in two ways. Number one, it would ensure we have one presiding judge and two associate judges. And that means that now we're going to have three options to choose from, right? It does not mean that we're going to pay more money, right? Because judges don't get paid a salary. They get paid for the work they do. The only thing it means is that we're going to have options to reach out to whenever one judge is not available over another. So it doesn't increase our payroll costs. It doesn't increase our cost to the court or to the city. All it does is gives us options to make sure that when we need a judge, we have a judge. The other big component to the change in the charter is that now it's going to require that one of the three judges must hold an attorney license. And so in this way, by reorganizing the way we function our court system, we, one, have more options to choose from, does not increase our payroll cost, and it ensures that one of the judges holds a law license.
And it improves our judicial system, locally.
100%, because when you are an attorney and you hold a law license, you are continuously asked to continue your continuing legal education. So you're always kept abreast of the laws, you're always kept abreast of new systems and new niches. And so by having an attorney be part of our panel of judges, it's going to ensure that all of our judges benefit from that. And most importantly, our residents benefit from that.
Okay, that is C. Now, Proposition D.
Yes, ma'am. So the last proposition we have is also a very administrative proposition, and it deals with our city budget. So currently, our budget is due at an earlier date than the state requirement. And so one of the things that happens with that issue is that because the state has a deadline for budget submission that is beyond ours, sometimes we don't get tax figures in time to meet our own charter deadline for passing our budget. And so what we're trying to do here is streamline the city deadline with the state deadline to ensure that we're never at a lack of information when we're proposing or adopting our budgets. And so the only thing the last amendment proposal does, it moves our budget deadline to September 28th, because September 28th is the state deadline for passing budget. So no tax increase, no anything. This is just purely administrative, moving our deadline to September 28th.
Okay, and so why do we need to take the propositions to the voters? Why can't the council just, hey, let's just change this, let's change that? To explain that.
So that's a great question, actually. And so the reason is that our charter says that anytime we're going to change our charter, we have to take it to the voters, right? It also says that we can't do it more than once every 5 years, right? But in our case, since the adoption of the charter, we've never had an amendment to our charter. So this is the first amendment that a council in Palmview ever brings to the voters. And so they are very conservative amendments. They are amendments that I believe are more about lining up practice with industry standards more than anything, to ensure that our city remains competitive, our city remains trained and equipped, our city has the resources it needs, our city can pass budgets in a proper fashion. And so all of these changes are all about efficient city government. And so I think that over the years, as our city has grown, so has the need to amend our charter to keep up with the changing times, right? We are no longer this little city of Palmview with 1,000 residents, right? Now we're a full-blown city with 15,000 residents and growing. And so what that means is that our charter has to reflect the ability for us to conduct business, and our charter has to reflect our ability to function as a city.
Okay, and so this election is happening when?
So this election is going to happen in the general election of 2023, which I believe is November 6th, if I'm not mistaken. And so we're going to have early vote the last 2 weeks of October. We're going to have election day coming up on the first Tuesday of November. And voters are going to go vote for or against the amendments. What I can tell voters is that, look at the propositions. Here you've heard a lot about what the propositions are, and we're going to be having some town halls also to talk about this, so the community is able to come over and talk to us about this, and talk to me directly as a city attorney to be able to explain some of these amendments and what they're proposing, right? But the big takeaway that I want to make sure voters understand with these propositions is that all of these propositions are being done and designed in order to streamline our city government, to have a more efficient government, a better trained government, and a government that is more reflective of the year 2023, right? Not the 1980s when we started being the little Palmview we were back then.
Okay, thank you so much. And want to mention that here in Palmview, the polling location will, of course, be our gym right behind City Hall. And then good thing about when we have elections with the county is that you can vote anywhere in the county. So you can find that on their website. You can also find it on our website. You'll also find the schedule of dates. Polls are usually open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you're going to have like 12 different dates that you can vote in early voting, aside from Election Day. So thank you so much.
No, thank you for the opportunity to talk to our voters, for them to be educated about what our council is bringing forward. I think this process should be a transparent one, and I hope to see some of you at our upcoming town hall so you can have a direct conversation with us if there are still questions you might have after watching this video today.
Thank you so much, then, and thank you for watching the City of Palmview's YouTube channel. I'm Irma Garza.